Now throughout this course, we're building a real project. You already saw the finished result earlier in this module. Now attached to this lecture, you'll find the starting setup of this project. Because we're not going to start with a blank file for the single reason that you watching me write HTML, CSS and JavaScript code is pretty boring. There's nothing progressive, web appish about that. So what we'll start with is a very simple boilerplate setup with a frame of an application without any logic, without any features in it. That's all going to get added by us. So if you downloaded and extracted that folder, open it in your favorite IDE or editor, like for me it's WebStorm, for you it could be Microsoft Visual Studio Code, Sublime, Atom, whatever you like. Now in there then open the command line, the terminal, and navigate into that project folder. This here is simply as a command line integrated into my IDE. In the extracted project folder, run npm install. Now for that to work, you need Node.js installed, which you probably have since you needed it earlier in the course. So make sure to go to nodejs.org to download the latest version of Node.js. Here we only need it for its package manager, which will install all the dependencies of this project. Now if we hit enter, it will do that. The dependencies of this project is really only one dependency, this HTTP server here. Now this HTTP server is required to have a development server running on our local machine hosting our web application. To be precise, it will host everything inside the public folder. Now why do we need that and don't just double click onto our HTML files there? Because if we double click, we use the file protocol, and with that we can't build a progressive web app. A lot of HTTP features are missing because it's not using HTTP, and therefore we can't simulate a real web app as it would be served over the wire. So that is why we need a development server. Now the installation finished, and with npm start we can start this server, and again it will now serve the public folder. In there you see we have an index.html file, so this is what gets loaded first. You can always end the server with Ctrl+C, but you should not do that if you want to keep on developing. With your done, shut it down, and if you start again, restart the server. Now with that, you can open localhost 8080 in Chrome. Now theoretically you can use any browser you want, but I strongly recommend using Chrome. It supports all the features you're learning in this course, so you can see everything we built. And of course we will build this app in a way that it also works on older browsers, but seeing the features isn't too bad, right? Additionally, Chrome has awesome developer tools. If you open them, you can either use the shortcut, which is Command-Alt-I or Control-Alt-I, or you simply go to these three dots here and there to More Tools, Developer Tools. So if you open them, you have all the developer tools you might already know. The most important part for us later in this course will become the Application tab. The Audits tab is what you already saw with Lighthouse, and you can also have a look at the console to see any errors. Now one important thing can be found under the Network tab. There, make sure that you do disable caching. This will only work if the developer tools are open, but then it will make sure that the default browser cache isn't getting used. And I want to disable this just to prove to you that we indeed are using the service worker for all the caching things we'll do later in the course. It will make sure that everything works correctly and you're not waiting for the browser cache to update and reflect your latest changes or stuff like that. Additionally, you might want to try out this toggle device toolbar button, which allows you to preview your application basically as if it were to run on a real device. It's mainly just doing the styling, it's not really emulating a real device, but it allows you to switch between different devices and see how it would look on them. Now with that, let's focus on the application we're starting with. As I said, I give you a basic frame here, and that really is what it is. We have a side menu with a help page we can load and the main feed page here. We can click this plus to open this modal here, but we can't do anything in this app yet. Clicking anything else but this plus won't do anything useful. Now we're starting off with this nice, already responsive styling due to a package we're using. In the index.html file you can see the import to the Material Design Lite package from a CDN. This is basically like Bootstrap, just using the Material Design by Google. And I'm using this so that we have a lot of nice styling to start with and don't have to write everything about this app from scratch, Because of course this course is about progressive web app features and not writing plain old boring HTML, JavaScript and CSS. There are other courses for these fundamentals. In the index.html file, you can see that we have a very traditional setup. There's quite some markup in there. Most of that is really just responsible for the navigation. And generally, this gives you the frame I was talking about. Now, that being said, no logic lives in this app. If you inspect the other files in the source folder, you will see that the JavaScript files are pretty empty. This file just handles the plus icon, plus button on the starting page. And of course, we will add all the logic together. You will see the same in the CSS files, just some very basic styling, nothing fancy. The images, especially the icons, will become important later in the course. Finally, in the help folder, you have that index.html file which renders this help page. So just some dummy code to start with. With that, I'd say let's dive into the next lectures so that we can soon start adding some cool features and logic to this application. Can't wait to do that together with you.